Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy, Craig the Frog, coming back at you with another video. Y'all see, I got my stuff fixed, finally. Now I can be off y'all back, okay? But today we finna be ready to 15 strangest things washed up on the beaches, boy. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Beaches are supposed to be home to fun times, parties with friends, and good vibes.
Yeah!
Sometimes the ocean has different plans.
Stop, bro, stop!
Stop!
You look good.
Sometimes the
For
water
real.
likes to throw up unexpected things from the water's depths onto the sands, shaking up the good times. Get ready to see possible evidence of some of the oddest. These are the 15 strangest things washed up on beaches. Number 15. Megalodon shark. Sharks washing up on beaches, both dead and alive, is not all that uncommon.
A megalodon?
Shark attacks, with around 100 reported every year. But what's perhaps quite unique in this case is that the shark that washed up on an Australian beach looks nothing like other sharks in the area. What's going on? This footage makes the list for the 15 strangest things washed up on beaches because the shark in the video looks more like the supposedly extinct megalodon shark, a relative of the great white, than it does any other. Is there a chance this species could still be hidden in the dark depths of the ocean today?
Yes!
Think like we've been led to believe? The shark was seen dead floating in the shallow waters of an Australian beach, and it was enormous. Its size looked more in line with the average 55-foot length of a megalodon rather than the smaller great white or mako shark. Megalodons lived anywhere between 2.6 million and 16 million years ago, with
Come on, man!
thought to wipe them out over time. Their teeth were up to...
Come on. Really? Come on, man. You know them things ain't this thing. You know they still flying through the water. We haven't even experienced...
on screen.
Do you think that's real?
To the next topic. Number 14. Giant tree. There are few things as random as a casual walk on the beach being interrupted by a giant tree. But that was the case for the community of La Push in Washington. The township is no stranger to large, towering trees, but they typically form part of the landscape and, in an upright position. However, after high tides and strong winds, residents of La Push were puzzled to find not only driftwood all over their local beach, but the largest tree they had ever seen lying
What?
in the sands. A retired school teacher by the name of Philip Lockman
What?
left the giant drift log in 2010 with his 6-foot-tall daughter standing beside it. She looked tiny standing in front of it, with the tree's trunk at least 3/4 of her height above her. While Philip didn't take measurements, trees that grow in the area are often up to 200 feet tall and up to 10 feet in diameter. The most common trees in the area, of which this drift log might be, are western red cedar, Sitka spruce, and fir. Given the size and scale of the tree, it sure makes you wonder about the wind and tidal power it took to bring to the shore in the first place. Number 13. Civil War cannonballs. To the untrained eye, this pile of debris on a Charleston beach in South Carolina would just be thought of as trash. It would be cleared away without a second thought, and no one would be any the wiser. But former Folly Beach Mayor Richard Beck, who knew a bit about the Civil War, quickly realized the trash was anything but. Instead, it was 16 rusted cannonballs that posed a potential risk to beachgoers.
Think about me walking on that. Skip!
It lay half submerged in the sand. Hurricane Matthew hit the southern United States with full force in 2016. People lost their lives, homes were flooded, and the damage and destruction went on for miles. But during the chaos and utter devastation of homes, the beaches were thrown into disarray as well, and the cannonballs were unearthed from their sandy tomb beneath. Richard Beck realized they were cannonballs, even in their decayed state, when he noticed the hole in one of them. Richard knew the cannonballs went into those holes, which allowed them to explode. He called the Charleston County Sheriff's Office Bomb Squad, who, with the help of the Air Force Explosive Ordnance Team detonated them in a controlled setting. But finding cannonballs, as strange as it is anywhere else, is pretty standard in the southern parts of the United States.
For real, bruh.
The beach where the cannonballs were found was where Union troops got ready to storm Fort Morris. The area also has a lot of history with Civil War conflicts, which means it's a hotspot for relic hunters looking to retain their own unique part of American history. Number 12. Huge Lego Men. Very few children in the Western world would have had a childhood without Lego. Crafting new worlds out of plastic pieces is a favorite pastime for many, but if you're gonna find Lego, it's generally in boxes under kids' beds or stored away in attics, basements, and garages. Not supersized and on beaches around the world. That's what makes this find so mysterious. 8-foot-tall Lego men have been washing up on beaches all over the world, and people are both confused and a bit spooked. The giant Lego man, which has Ego Leonard painted on the back and No Real Than You Are on the front, has been a sporadic figure in the news since 2007. He washed up on a beach in Brighton and then again in the Netherlands with the number
Fool, you ain't
back.
real.
That number made people believe that Ego Leonard, the Lego man, could be one of many, and they would be right. He was also spotted on a beach in Japan and more recently in Siesta Key, Florida. How many Lego men could there be out there? Research into Ego Leonard on the internet brings up information that describes the creator or creation as one from a virtual world. A website with further details says, "My name is Ego Leonard, and according to you, I come from the virtual world. A world that, for me, represents happiness, solidarity, all green and blossoming, with no rules or limitations." With no apparent connection to the giant Lego,
Weirdo.
this find remains one of the strangest to wash up on.
I know it's
Stop!
not true, but the earning app is legit. I don't get paid till next Friday, like you.
Beaches. Number 11. Deadly German U-boat. In 1918, approximately 175 miles from Cape Villano in Spain, a German U-boat launched a torpedo that sunk a British steamer known as Wellington. 40 miles from Tory Island, another torpedo was launched, which took down the Arca, the British tanker. This submarine was on a mission to bring down the British, but it was cut short by the Imperial German Navy's surrender later that same year. The submarine may have done some real damage, but it was now of no use to anyone. It was decided at that point that the U-boat would be dragged to France and used for scrap. However, in April 2019, the dragging hawser broke off in a storm in the English Channel. The submarine ran aground on the beaches of Hastings, Sussex, smack bang in front of the Queen's Hotel. Locals and the military tried every idea and method under the sun to move the submarine back into the water to be
How you go?
They tried tractors,
No.
even a French destroyer to shoot it apart so it would be easier to move.
You cannot move that big old thing.
The public, blowing it up wasn't an option. While the various options were pondered, the U-boat became a tourist attraction. The town
Duh.
charged people to climb the deck, and the money raised, around £300, was used to hold an event for soldiers returning from war. However, Chief Boatman William Hurd and Chief Officer W. Moore, who conducted the tours, suddenly came down ill with what was thought to be food poisoning, and the tours were stopped. When their conditions worsened, lethal gas leaking from the submarine's battery cells was thought to have created abscesses on their brains and lungs. Both men lost their lives.
Oh.
The novelty was starting to wear off, and people wanted the boat gone. Eventually, it was broken up and sold for scrap, and the deck gun was gifted to the town. However, deterioration caused its removal in 1921, the last piece of evidence of a giant submarine on a random public beach. Number 10. Baby Grand Piano. Have you ever threatened to throw your neighbor's musical instrument from the nearest great height just to get some much-needed peace and quiet? In most cases, it's a threat, but has someone finally followed through? Someone walking along the Manhattan side of the East River came across a baby grand piano underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. Out of all places to find a piano, this is possibly one of the more absurd ones. Some people were quick to call it a viral marketing campaign, but for what purpose? Others
What?
think it could be art or a quick disposal to save money on landfill fees. Whatever the
Get fee-free overdraft up to $100
Stop!
at Spot Me. Install the Chime app today and get started.
Stop.
comparison, it quickly went viral. It appeared all over social media, and people visited in their dozens to photograph it and even try and play it. Strangely enough, this baby grand piano is not the only one to wash up on a beach. It turns out that 2 people don't like their neighbors playing noisy instruments at night. A second burned piano was found in Biscayne Bay in Miami, Florida a few years before. Number 9. Humongous pipes. Those looking to achieve that sun-kissed look on British beaches were in for the shock of their lives in 2017. Instead of finding sun, sand, and sea creatures, they were graced with 4 giant plastic pipes measuring between 656 and 1,000.
Boring.
But came a
Next.
recuperation thread. Number 8. Ancient megalodon tooth. There's been a possible sighting of an entire megalodon washing up on an Australian beach, but there's also been another discovery of a single megalodon tooth as well. A shark-mad 7-year-old boy had been out searching for shark teeth on Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, something his family did while vacationing in the area every year. Foster Frazier knew he had come across something special when he jumped off in the water. What first looked like a rock was now clearly a giant tooth. Regular shark teeth are up to 4 inches long, but a megalodon's could be over 5 inches. According to Foster's mom, he was the perfect kid to find the tooth. He reads lots of books about him, wears shark-themed clothing, and had even said that he would one day love to find the tooth of a megalodon. That day in 2016 was his lucky one. The tooth is millions of years old and is now on display in Peoria, Illinois at the Riverfront Museum. Number 7. Snowballs. Most children who grew up with white Christmases will be familiar with the snowman building process. You cup some snow in your little mittened hands, form a ball, then gently push it along the ground until it gathers up more snow. Before you know it, you've got 3 round balls ready to stack on top of each other.
Wow!
Snowman. This very process is what caused thousands of natural snowballs to end up in northwest Siberia.
Okay.
Bob, strange, but wind
Next.
are rare and only sludge or sludge wash up on the beach. In the 1920s and 30s, many central city cemeteries were relocated to make way for shopping centers, housing developments, and more. The remains were relocated to other cemeteries at no cost to the families. However, if families wanted to remove a headstone, they had to pay for it themselves. Most chose not to, and thousands of tombstones were recycled for city projects.
Dang,
Was
bro.
shoring the Ocean Beach seawall. Now, when strong winds shift sands, it's not uncommon for random tombstones to become unearthed along the shoreline. To an outsider, it's a strange phenomenon, but not if you understand the story behind it. In 2014, many people were alarmed to discover that several tombstones had been uncovered on the beach, some fully intact. A San Francisco historian said it has happened before and will happen again. Number 5. 80-million-year-old dinosaur thigh bone. Imagine a world where dinosaurs roamed Washington. Sounds crazy, right? But 80 million years ago, it was reality. Scientists had been looking for marine invertebrates and fossilized animals in the San Juan Islands not far from Seattle when they stumbled across a fossilized bone in a marine rock in 2012. They immediately got in touch with the University of Washington paleontologists, and a team was sent out to excavate the fossil. Given the hardness of the rock, the process took a full day and another 18 months to prepare it for analysis. Scientists weren't even sure what they had, so the long, slow process could have all been for nothing. However, when they were eventually able to turn the bone over, they realized it was a thigh bone from a meat-eating theropod dinosaur such as a T-Rex. Given the location of the bone, scientists believe the dinosaur died thrown around in the waves and finally settled among the clams. Number 4. Giant eyeball. It's not every day you come across a fish lying on a beach, so it's certainly even less common to come across a large body part from one. A beachcomber was roaming Florida's Pompano Beach when he stumbled across a giant eyeball. It was unmistakably an eyeball, but from what creature, no one knew. He promptly handed over the eye to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, who then sent it on to the St. Petersburg Fish and Wildlife Research Institute in Florida. Genetic testing would uncover from which critter this eye came. Carly Siegelson, a spokesperson for the institution, said a large fish, such as a tuna or swordfish, was the most likely culprit. The bone around the eye ruled out a squid. If it did come from a fish, it's likely to be one that's far larger than most people have ever seen before. Number 3. World War II love letters. Like a plot from a romantic war movie, love letters were found washed up on a beach in front of the fireplace and started on a mission to track down the rightful owners. The home at the return address had been torn down, and an ad posted online revealed no results. However, when Kathleen visited findagrave.com, she found a listing for Lynn Farnham, who had passed away in 1991. Kathleen made an inquiry, and the love letter couple's niece got in touch. Dorothy was living in a senior high-rise in poor health, and the letters must have floated down the Shrewsbury River to get to their location. However, there were no living relatives in that area, and Dorothy's niece had no idea who would have had the letters. While mystery surrounds where they came from, they are now reunited with their rightful owner. Number
Hey!
live bomb. A buoy washing up on a beach is nothing to write home about. That happens all the time. But when that buoy turns out to be a live bomb, that's when things get interesting.
For real!
Looking at Buryport in Wales when their two young children noticed something washing up on the beach.
What?
A round metal ball with barnacles on it, and they thought nothing of it. The kids investigated it, had their photo taken with it, and carried on with their picnic. However, when Pembry County Park officials announced that the buoy on the beach was a United States military mine bomb, the family was shocked. Someone who had seen their family photo online alerted them to the discovery. The bomb was thought to date back to World War II and had been called into the bomb squad by a Coast Guard who noticed writing on it once the barnacles...
Get it out of there!
The beach was evacuated and the bomb was detonated in a controlled setting. Number 1. Garfield phones. For close to 4 decades, locals in France around the Iroise coast of Brittany have been dealing with pieces of orange plastic washing up on their beaches. All parts have a common theme. They all come from the 1980s Garfield phones, which were all the rage at the time. However, they are not all the rage now, and locals were starting to grow weary of the plastic contamination. Where was it coming from? Why had it carried on for nearly 40 years? Many people had an inkling that the phones were coming from a shipwrecked or lost shipping container, but until one was found, no one would know for sure. The mystery dragged on for all those years, but was then solved in 2019. After an anti-litter marketing campaign surrounding the plastic attracted the attention of a farmer, he was able to pinpoint where he had seen one of the phones in a storm in the 1980s. Journalists were then able to discover a shipping container in a sea cave that was only accessible at low tide. Given the container's location and how it's buried underneath rocks, it will never be able to be removed. Therefore, Garfield phone fragments will probably always wash up on the beach. A harsh reminder of how long plastic lasts and how much damage it can genuinely do. Next time you go to the beach, you'll surely not want to leave home without a metal detector and a camera. There are some crazy things out there waiting to be discovered. What weird
Garfield!
beaches. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now.
Man, that's crazy. Whoa. But it's your boy Craig. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. And man, we finally fixed my camera. So we got better quality now, y'all. Bye!
See you next time.